Hey, everybody, welcome to Text Request Talks, where we have conversations with business leaders about how they make things happen. Presented by Text Request, the business text messaging platform that lets you text from your office phone numbers directly on your computer or any other device so you can stop making phone calls and start actually getting responses. Learn more at textrequest.com. I'm Kenneth Burke, and today we've got Aicha Bascaro, who is the founder and CEO of the American Franchise Academy. And before starting that, she ran operations for many notable brands like Domino's and Popeyes and Olive Garden. And to keep the list going, she's also authored two books, which is The Franchise Fix and Multi Unit Franchise Mastery. So, Aicha, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you for inviting me and having me here.
So you went from operations on at a large scale to international operations, even for these franchise brands, and then about 8 years ago, you moved into consulting. Why did you do that? And then what kind of consulting services do you offer?
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. Yeah, I was a 27 plus year career corporate executive person, somebody that has been in these brands for a long time. I started as a pizza delivery driver. I don't know you know that, but I started delivering pizzas in franchising and I fell in love with the model, the systems, the processes, the structure behind it, and end up 20 years with Domino's, 5 years with Popeyes, a couple of years with Darden Restaurants. And the last job that I had in the corporate world was actually running a brand. And I just decided to take a sabbatical at that point. I am a mother. I had kids. I'm married, and I wanted to be able to be there for my kids when they went into high school. And during that little sabbatical, I started getting phone calls from people asking me questions, brands asking me to go and support some of the master franchisors in international that I made really close relationships with. And I realized, and then lots of franchisees calling me and asking me for consulting. And I became the accidental consultant. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know what to charge, but I realized they needed help and I had the time. So I helped them. And what I noticed is that the questions they were asking me was not about the brand questions. It was not about the product, the service, the image, or the marketing. They were asking me about cost control, profitability, leadership, team management, turnover, etc. And of course, I knew all of that and have all those skills because I did run operations with direct P&L responsibility for all of those brands. With Domino's, my largest was over 60 restaurants across 3 states. I had 7 district managers. And with Popeyes, I actually run the company operations in all of Georgia. And for Darden, I led operations for Georgia and Alabama. So I knew how to manage that because that's something that the brands taught me as an employee running their company stores. And so that's why I decided that I wanted to help. And rather than go back in the corporate world or becoming a franchisee myself, which is something I considered, I thought, you know what, let me just do something on my own and help the people that I knew I could help. And ever then, July this year, we celebrated our 8th anniversary since I officially started. And we focus on just franchisee success, going from a single unit job, basically a franchise job, into a successful multi-unit enterprise. And that's what we help franchisees do every day.
Well, congratulations on 8 years. You talk
Thank
about profitability and you talk about team leadership, and I'm really curious because you're working with business owners, and I assume a lot of these people that you work with have been in this role for a while before they come to you. And I'm curious, what do you see that they're missing when it comes to things like profitability and team leadership or team management? And those might be very different things that they're missing there, but that's what piqued my interest as you were listing it off.
Yeah, well, I would tell you that our clients, our franchisee clients for our command program, which is a 12-month program, really come for different types of experiences. Actually, we had clients that join us before they even open the first franchise because they have committed to a market area that right off the bat they have signed a multi-unit agreement, or they have one unit and they want to grow into multi-unit, so they realize they don't have the skills, which is really amazing that they realize that early on. But yeah, the majority of our clients are people that are already multi-unit, and they realize that running multiple stores is not the same as running one. And so really the challenges are different. Obviously, if you're brand new, we had to create everything from scratch, all your systems, processes, procedures, policies. A lot of them don't even know what they're supposed to be creating. And so we help them and guide them along the way. For those of them that already are running, we really, first of all, do a 112-point assessment to find out what are their opportunities. And I would tell you that for the most part, what happens is that people know what's supposed to happen. I would say like let's say half the franchisees know what is supposed to happen, but they have it all in their mind and in their heart. They have not defined them. They have not written them. It's not documented. It's not being properly trained. Like the knowledge is being passed on verbally and through job shadowing, basically, rather than a formal, documented, strict process of sharing that knowledge. And you cannot become a successful multi-unit operator if you do not have all of those processes and procedures and policies documented, because that's the magic of franchising. Why, one brand can go from 1 to 1,000? Well, because they have clearly defined and documented everything on how to duplicate the product, how to duplicate the service process, how to duplicate the image. Is all documented in this thing called operations manual. And that's how they can open unit after unit and unit and have them look the same. But when it comes to management, the franchisee needs to do the exact same thing with all of their management business systems that the franchisor does not provide for various reasons. And so I would say that the biggest challenge is that the documentation of those procedures. And some of them are missing a lot of the critical ones. And so I would say that will be, the normal thing. Mm-hmm.
How does that play into delegating? So if you're let's say you're an owner, you have one location to start with, and there's a lot of it that you're able to handle day to day. As you scale and as you are able uh, to systematize everything, just the volume thing, you can't do it all yourself. So how do you figure out what needs to be delegated, what you need to do yourself, what skills you may be lacking and need to hire or compensate for? How do you help people through that?
Yeah. So first of all, we focus on having the managers of each unit. First of all, having a manager, because some franchisees are the managers themselves. And that works if you're going to have only one unit. The moment you go to 2 units, that does not work anymore, because you cannot have, you cannot be the manager of the store of 2 units and then also be the district manager, which is a very distinct role and job that has to be done. And on top of that, be the franchisee. Like all those 3 roles are very different. And if you have 1 unit, okay, you'll do all of them. You are the manager, you are the district manager, and you are the franchisee. Very distinct roles. Once you go to 2 units, I mean, unless you're going to make time goes from 24 hours to 48 hours, you simply cannot do that. And so what you have to do is you need to be able to delegate, the information to your leaders. And again, it has to do through clearly defining what those are, training the people, and have it in a way that it's a system. It's a process that can be repeated, because you might do that one time, right? You're running one store, you have a manager in the other, but guess what? Turnover happens. So that manager at some point in time will be gone, right? Whether we like it or not, they will be gone. Now you have another manager. Now you got to do it again. And then, 6 months, a year later, they're gone. You have to do it again. And so you have to create the systems. And ideally, you want to have a manager in each location, and you become now the district manager and the owner, because it's 2 different roles, like I mentioned, right? So once you go into more than 1 unit, really each unit has to have its own management. So the managers need to do the manager job. They need to open the stores, close the stores, do inventory, the schedules, everything that a manager is supposed to be. And then the franchisee becomes the one that goes around and ensures that execution is being done. And so that's the only way that you can grow. We always say that when you go from 2 to, let's say, 4 to 5 units is a hell of 2 to 4 units, because if you don't, you cannot have a district manager when you only have 2, 3 units. There needs to be a certain level of cash flow before you can hire that person, and that person be the district manager, so that you can be owner and focus on growth and strategy, right? And so, but between 2 and 4 units, before you make that cash flow, you're it. So now you're the district manager and the franchise owner, which is already challenging enough. You certainly cannot be a manager of a store too. And so it really requires a very disciplined process to go through from 1 to 2 to 4 to 7 to district manager, etc. And but many franchises don't even know that. Like it's not being taught anywhere. Like there is no, well, multi-unit mastery, book. It's there. So if you are someone that wants to go multi-unit, by the way, whether you're a franchisee or not, this is true for independent businesses. If you have a little grocery store and you're doing so well and you want to open another one, these systems, these processes, these policies are 100% applicable to independent businesses too. It's just that we just focus on the management side, not the brand side. So that's critical. That being able to delegate. If you're not able to delegate operations, you cannot grow multi-unit. That's just the bottom line.
Hiring becomes so critical there, and a lot of business leaders will say that their largest challenge anyway is hiring and retaining good people. Do you see any commonalities across all the different types of businesses that you work with in what you should look for when you're interviewing and you're hiring people? Let's say managers specifically. So are there specific traits that have to be there no matter who you are or what you're doing? Or is there a lot of variance?
No, I would say there are 2 general things that you need to look for. The first one is, do they have the ability, the technical skills? Do they come with the technical skills to do the job? If you're looking for a cashier, can they handle a register? If you're looking for a esthetician, are they a certified esthetician? Have they done that in the past? So you're looking for technical, or what we call hard skills, right? Do they know how to do the job? And if it's something that is easy to teach, because a lot of the franchise entry levels are something that people come without knowledge, can they learn? So you look at past behaviors to potentially assume, future results. So that's the first thing. Can they do the job? The second thing that you should definitely clearly look for is there a culture fit? Because one thing is to know how to do the job. Another one is, can you as a person, fit our culture and keep it positive in the way that you want it to be? To be able to do that as a franchisee, first, you need to have defined what is your culture or what you want your culture to be. So as a franchisee, you haven't even defined that, you're already starting 2 steps behind. Franchisor won't teach you that. This is something that you need to know. You need to define, what do I want my employee experience to be, so that it would then mimic our customer experience. Like, what would I want it to be? Then actually define parameters around that, what we call the charter, your mission, your vision, your values. Once you have that, then you need to live it every day, train it, teach it, expect it, do system, all have your systems and processes be informed by that culture that you want to create. And as you have that culture, then you are able to then compare, okay, this is a culture, and then you can then look into the people that are applying for the job. Are they a culture fit? Because when people end up not working out, is usually because either they didn't have the skills, or they were not able to acquire the skills to be successful at the job, or they were not a culture fit. And because many business owners do not go through that process or even understand that's what they need to look for, is why we end up doing the wrong hires and why we have so much turnover. And nowadays it's critical because we have multi-generational employees at most businesses. And so not only do we need to have this process, but understand how is it different between Gen Zs, Gen Xs, millennials, and everybody. And so being a great leader today is critical for your success, being able to understand what that looks like, and being able to then have that culture that you can then use to inform yourself and your leaders. Because usually as a multi-unit franchisee, you're not doing all the hiring. So not only do you need to have all that defined on yourself and your company, but then transfer that to your managers, the hiring managers, so that they are doing a selection in alignment with what that is. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of really thought that needs to be put behind it. And Again, this is not what you're buying when you get a brand. When you get a brand, you get a brand systems. You don't get a business degree in franchise management or leadership. That's on you as a franchisee to be able to get that so that you can be successful. And without these, you cannot be successful. And that's why so many people sometimes fail, because they're not aware of this and they don't go look for it, how to improve either, you know? So that's the challenge.
Something in what you're saying that stands out to me specifically is, you may know it in your head or in your heart, as you said, but can you articulate it? And can the people beneath you articulate it as well? And if you aren't able to articulate it, then you don't have a system that you can run. I think that's a pretty good distinction.
Yes, and documented. Don't forget about that part. It has to be documented so that it's consistent. Otherwise, if it's always verbal, I mean, you know that broken telephone game, right? Like you start in saying apple and it turns into oranges, and by the time you're done, it's pineapples, right? And that is just the way it is. And so documentation for people to refer to all the time eliminates the possibility, or I shouldn't say that, significantly reduces the possibility of confusion or mistaken training, right? And so documentation is critical, both parts, defining it and being able to then document it so that you can consistently train it. Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to some of your personal experience. You said whenever you got started, you were kind of the accidental consultant because you had all of this experience and obviously this big network, and people who had questions started coming to you. Did you see that extend on and just keep going, or what did you begin to do to bring in clients for the academy?
Great question. Remember, 27-year career executive in 4 brands. So when I left Domino's after almost 20 years, the day that I left, you could have asked 90% of the people in that corporate office and many franchisees, they all will know who Aicha Bascaro was. Today, there's no one in the leadership team that left from when I left, right? Within Popeye, it's the same thing. I led many strategic projects and initiatives, and everybody knew who Aicha Bascaro was within that brand. Outside of those brands, nobody knew who I was because I was really inside those worlds. As a matter of fact, I met somebody the other day and they said, I mean, I've been in the industry for 37 years and you have too. How did I never, ever heard of you? I said, well, that's because I was inside those brands. And so that brings me to, yeah, at the beginning, we kicked it off and it was great with the people that knew me. But as you and I know, 4 brands is not enough to build a business. And so I had to learn skills that I never had to use before. As an operator or a franchise store representative, customers came to me and I just run operations. Me having to go and try to attract and find, customers to serve was a new skill for me. And so I had to learn marketing and funnels and, direct outreach and value content and social media. And oh my gosh, it's been a crazy journey. I would consider myself a franchise management expert. I am not a sales expert at all. As a matter of fact, I'm still not a salesperson. All I do now and what my team does as we have grown is just do whatever we can to let franchisees know that we exist, how we can help them. And when they reach out to us, then we're here to, to support them in their needs. And that's what we focus on because it's just a big world out there. And so my job right now is really just spread the word that we exist and what we do. And and literally we had done it one-on-one, organic, literally reaching out one at a time, is the way that I really started by myself. I was a solopreneur at some point, right? And just reaching out one by one. Hey, hi, this is Aicha. This is what I do. If you ever need help, please reach out. And I just had to learn that whole skill now, Kenneth, and continue to every single day to learn how to do that better and better. Because the more people find out about us, the more people we can help, achieve their goals of multi-unit franchising.
Something I think is really interesting about that is, we're talking a lot about systematizing processes and, the customer experience and how you hire and train. And there are a lot of people, I'm a marketer, I can say there's a lot of people in marketing who just want to take the personal touch out of things and just automate everything. But then coming back to what you were just saying you were doing to find clients, that personal touch is really what sets you apart from everybody else. And it's crucial that you don't lose that whenever you're growing a business.
Absolutely, 100%. We do that still every day, every week. One of the so our number we have two main ways in which we are able to reach out to our potential clients. One of them is, like I mentioned, one-to-one. Hey, you are a franchisee. Hi, this is Aicha. I'm in the franchise industry. If I can ever be of service, please reach out. And that's literally my message. The other one is conferences. I have learned, I went to one just to see what it was like. And then I realized, wow, you get to meet people one-on-one, and you get to shake hands and have conversations. What are your problems? What are your struggles? And as a matter of fact, I will tell you that the conferences not only has been an amazing way for me to build my network, get to be known by people outside my four original brands, but also a great way for people to tell us what they need. Literally, we started our flagship program is the Command Program for franchisees. It's a 12-month educational program on franchise management. But because of the people we have met, our clients, and the requests in the conferences, we develop a district manager training. People would say, look, I have my systems, but can you train my district manager? That's the role. I don't have any formal training. And because of all those requests, we now created, actually 3 years ago, a 10-week program to train district managers. And it's been phenomenal. We have trained over 250 district managers already, reaching almost 300. And we launched that, and it's been embraced clearly. And then the next question from conferences, from speaking with these people in person, is like, what about managers, leadership skills, management skills, And I was like, wow, okay, so you need that. That's what you need. That if I do that for you, this is something that you need for, yes, we need that. I said, okay. So last year we launched a unit management 4-week training program on how to lead and manage a profitable unit. So the brand does their job, right? They teach them all about how to do the product and the service and the procedures. We teach them how to turn that brand and the revenue that comes in into profitability. And we teach the managers, that first-time managers ever, to really see the business beyond not just a pizza place or a massage place or a school, but this is a business, and this is how you need to approach it. And so we did that from those personal relationships, from those personal conversations, and people just telling us what they need. And that's what we literally, that's what has driven the development of our programs.
There's a couple of lessons I want to highlight there too. Within that is one, something I say all the time is, especially since the pandemic and everybody went remote, is no one ever says it's so great to see you on Zoom. It's always, it's so great to see you in person, right? And so if you can get out and connect with people, that has an impact. And the second part, or the second point, was as you were talking to these people at conferences, you learned what their needs are and how you could tailor your offering to them. I think a lot of times owners and business leaders, or even marketing and sales professionals, have these questions and these challenges that can be solved if you just get out and talk to customers. It's an easy one, but go talk to your customers. What do they care about? What do they think? What are their problems? How can you deliver on that? And then go do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We started about so we've been around for 8 years now, and I think about around 4 or 5 years ago, I went to my first conference where we have our booth, first time ever. New skill, right? New ability, having a backdrop and what to offer. It's crazy, all the things you learn. And I realized it went well. And now this year, we have 6 total in the books for this year. And because I realized this is like a great way to really, I love meeting these customers in person, and learn so much from them. And you have to build a relationship of trust, because obviously they had to invest in this, right? They're investing in programs that they're giving to their people, that and I don't take that for granted. I know that it takes a lot of trust on someone that they know nothing about, that they're going to invest money on for their people, in the hopes that they're going to get that return, and that their people are really going to be elevated. And so it requires trust for that. And I totally understand that with our clients. And so that's why now I'm making a huge effort of being out there, so that they get to know me, what I stand for, what I've done, I mean, you can see in LinkedIn my past, but do you really believe it? I mean, until you meet me and talk to me about what I've done and answer any questions you have about operations and training and people and cost control and, labor costs and cost of goods and all those, things, they realize, well, okay, she really knows it. And it might be on LinkedIn, but until you actually have a conversation with me about that and show you our workbooks and our training materials and, the methodology that we follow and answer those questions, that builds the trust, which then, builds the encouragement for them to at least test it and try it. And then once they experience that, then the rest is history. But I know that it requires that. And you can't get that level of trust in an email. You just can't, so that's why I do that, even though having to travel yet again, it's a must. You have to. So that's why we're looking at that. Like I said, we have 5 or 6 scheduled for this year already, and potentially add more next year.
Well, Aisha, this has been great. And I just have one last question for you, Indon. So you're the one teaching people now, and you're still learning as you build this business. And I'm curious, where do you go to keep learning? And is there anything that you recommend to others that they do to keep learning?
Yeah, I think YouTube is an amazing place. You can go and search Google, search anything, any question that I have. This is like a permanent thing in my computer. I have had a business coach since 2016. And I didn't even know what that was, by the way. Actually, when I left the corporate world, I got a life coach because somebody recommended it to stop me from going back to corporate because it becomes your identity, right? For so many years and I really wanted to take that break. So I had to get a life coach to prevent me from going back into the corporate world. Then after that, I got a coach, a business coach. Actually, it was a book writing coach. A coach helped me write the book because I tried for 2 years to write a book and I didn't know how to write a book. So I finally got a book coach and I was able to write it in 12 weeks. So, and that book coach was actually also a business coach. Once you wrote a book, then she helps you build a business around that. And ever since then, I have another coach right now. So I would say that, if you are a leader, a business owner that wants to grow, get yourself a coach that knows more than you, has been there, done that, and can help you grow. So that's one way. And the other one I said is just YouTube, looking for the people that have done it and just learn from them, and keep growing. Reading books, you don't see it, but I'm surrounded by a lot of shelves of books. So I believe in the ongoingly learning. So I learn from my clients, but I definitely proactively look for more knowledge so that I can grow myself personally and help my clients even more.
Wonderful advice. Once again, thank you for being here, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to any time that I can help you again.